So if you want to get stronger with your weighted calisthenics and you want to start lifting some big boy numbers on those movements, follow this basic program I'm going to lay out for you, and you're going to get strong, and you're also going to get jacked in the process.
The Best Weighted Calisthenics Program, a video that I'll be reviewing today to better understand what exactly are the other strength progression methods that currently exist. And I also want to know just how useful or useless this program is when it comes to increasing your weighted calisthenics strength. So let me stop yapping and let's get right onto the video.
I'm going to break it down into two parts, okay? So the first part, you're going to train it 2 days a week. Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Friday, Wednesday, Saturday, whatever you want to do. Just make sure there's about 2 to 3 days in between each training session. Now, for the first part of it, both days of the week, you're going to follow a basic 3 sets of 5 reps, okay? Basic linear progression. Every time you can get 3 sets of 5 reps, the next time you do your session with that same exercise, you increase the weight on the lift by 1.25 kilo, the tiny little plates. And then basically you just rinse and repeat that over and over again until eventually you come to a point where you plateau in your progress. That could be 6 months, could be 10 months, could be 12 months, could be even 12 weeks, okay?
Okay, so I just want to pause real quick and kind of go over a little more in detail about his first phase of the program, where one simply focuses their efforts on training the weighted dips 2 times per week, for example. And the best way to implement progressive overload, from what he mentions on his first phase, is to increase it by 1.25 kgs, which is a little bit over 2.5 pounds. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a fan of this approach for a few reasons. But before we get into that, let me just explain that this strength progression method is best suited for beginner or at the very most intermediate based weighted calisthenic lifters, meaning you haven't been training weighted calisthenics for no more than 1 to 2 years and probably have a weighted dip less than 135 pounds for a 3 rep max, which would be important to highlight because if someone who's been training for longer periods and or have heavier loads, progressing this way would just do more harm than good, especially to one's ability to recover. Now, the reason that I say that this is the most suitable type of program for beginner or intermediate based lifters is because most beginners, when they start weighted calisthenics training, they have no idea where their overall work capacity lies, meaning they don't know their actual strength on a given exercise because they're fairly new to it. They just simply haven't put in enough time or effort to really understand how to train close to failure and really be able to understand just their overall capacity to execute that particular movement. So that's why it's always important, and I believe the most efficient way for a beginner or intermediate lifter to learn how to improve their strength adaptations is by giving them a simple linear progression method, such as doing 3 straight sets of 5 reps, which the original creator did, no doubt, and I definitely do agree with that approach. But with that being said, implementing progressive overload by increasing the loads with just 1.25 kgs or 2.5 pounds is not the most ideal approach in terms of your time and also just the efforts that you're putting in the gym. Because honestly, in my opinion, this style of training of implementing progressive overload has its limitations and it's not the most efficient way of going about it. And the fact that you're only doing 3 total sets per session with the purpose of training for strength, this isn't enough volume, or should I say practice, right? You're not getting enough sets / practice on that particular exercise. So this right here is not going to be giving enough stimulation for the beginner lifter to be able to adapt and to get more practice, which is super important whenever it comes to just overall getting better at a new movement or trying to figure out how to improve your strength. And this can relate to me when I came to learning weighted calisthenics or any calisthenics skill itself. If I wanted to learn a particular skill and I can't do many repetitions and I want to train it for strength, because by default, if you're doing anything like with low reps, you're just by default training for strength, I utilize a lot of sets to my advantage. Now, not too many sets, but typically I'll be utilizing like 5 sets and I stick to like the lower rep ranges, like anywhere between like singles, doubles, or triples. You get the point. So what I'm trying to really mention and take note of from this point is that training just 3 sets for 5 reps isn't going to be enough volume for an individual who is getting into calisthenics when it's weighted and they're trying to maximize their efforts when it comes to training for strength. And this also won't be increasing your overall work capacity as efficiently as my other recommendation that I will talk about in just a bit. But let me just explain what work capacity really is. This is going to be the training volume and intensity taken into account an individual can tolerate while maintaining a steady recovery schedule and continuously improve their strength adaptations. Ultimately, work capacity is significant in dictating the amount of strength and effort one can produce, but more importantly, how much effort and strength they can produce in a single set. So here's my recommendation that I'd rather you do. Instead of doing 3 sets of 5 reps, let's focus on starting off with 3 sets of 5 reps with, let's say, 45 pounds on the weighted dips or chin-ups or pull-ups, whatever movement you're doing. Then once you're able to accomplish 3 sets of 5 reps with 45 pounds, taking into account that you're doing good technique, full range of motion, you want to implement progressive overload by increasing a set by 1. So now you're doing 4 sets of 5 reps. Complete that process and then do it again by increasing it by another set. So now you're doing 5 sets of 5 reps with 45 pounds. So take note of that the only thing that we're changing is the number of sets. We're keeping all the other variables constant. Now, once you get to the point of doing 5 sets of 5 reps with 45 pounds, then this leaves you with 2 options. A, you're either going to be feeling super fatigued because you accumulate a lot of stress on the body from training for, let's say, 4 to 6 weeks. Then I would recommend you to take a deload week, right? And by deload week, what I mean is that you're just reducing the overall intensities for that particular week, such as instead of doing 45 pounds, you perhaps might do 25, 30 pounds for 3 sets of 5 reps, right? So after that deload week, you probably take a week or 2 to reload back up to your initial heavy load, which is 45 pounds in this case. And then you also increase the loads back to 55 or 60 pounds. Whatever you feel the most comfortable with. Or say B, you still feel strong enough, you were able to progress quickly, you haven't really trained for too long and accumulated much fatigue, then I would actually increase the loads by, 10, 15 pounds, just whatever makes the most sense. And you would then start off with doing 3 sets of 5 reps with like 55 to perhaps 60 pounds on the weighted dips. Now, this method right here that I just explained is, in my opinion, the most efficient way of optimizing your strength training for the purpose of increasing your overall work capacity, because you are doing a good number of sets. And this is going to indirectly just increase your overall capacity to perform more work. More particularly, because you're doing 5 sets of 5 reps, if you focus that effort on just one particular set, which the later half of this phase that I will talk about, you'll be able to put out more heavier loads on just one set. And this is known as the top and back offset method, but I don't want to get too deep into it because I'm just focusing on what makes the most sense from a beginner and intermediate based lifter and just reacting / analyzing what the original creator mentions. But regardless of that fact, let's go back to what the original creator said. He trains the dips or chin-ups for 3 sets of 5 reps twice a week. And to me, that's taking the instance that, okay, he's not mentioning how to manage the intensity of those sessions, right? So I don't know if he's doing the same intensities, the same loads on both sessions, which is a major red flag if you're not mentioning how to manage one's intensities. Because if you're keeping your training intensities constant and you're training with relatively low reps and your intention is to train for strength, you're going to find out real quick that your body's not going to be able to recover. And with the ability to not recover well, that's going to lead directly to your ability to not perform well either. So that's a red flag for me. So what I would rather do is highlight that you want to make sure that you're managing your intensities. If you do decide to implement this route of doing just 3 sets of 5 reps on both days, that's just something that the original creator didn't really point out. So I'm just putting it out for y'all. You want to be able to have specific intensities laid out. Like the first day, focus on higher intensities using heavy enough loads to perform 3 sets of 5 reps. And the second day, training in moderate intensities and reducing the loads by 15 to 25% from the first day. This way, you're doing your weighted calisthenic movements 2 times per week while managing your intensities to allow for better recovery and performance. And you'll still be building your overall work capacity in a more feasible and healthy approach. I can't stress how important it is to manage your intensities, because that's literally what allowed me to train weighted calisthenics for the last 3 years and continuously make progress. But with that being said, let's go ahead and continue watching this video where he goes on and talks about the phase 2 approach of this program.
Now, in phase 2 of the program, you're going to follow what is known as concurrent periodization. In a nutshell, concurrent periodization is when you're training multiple training qualities, so you're aiming for multiple goals within the same training block, okay? So in this instance, we're going to do a heavy day and a light day. So day 1 of the week, for your weighted pull-ups and your weighted dips, you're going to aim for 3 sets of 3 to 5 reps. This day is going to be mainly focused on strength. Yes, you still are going to gain muscle with this day, but the primary focus is that neural drive and to really get stronger on this movement. It's going to carry over very well to the later day in the week that I'll explain in a second. But also this day is just going to get you brutally strong and get you used to moving those big boy weights. And then the second day of the week is going to be your hypertrophy day. So we're going to aim for about 3 to 5 sets, anywhere from 10 to 20 up to 25 reps, okay? This day, like I said, we're really aiming to grow the muscle and get that hypertrophy stimulus.
So the conjugate or concurrent training method is actually something that I do myself, where I have a strength-based day, focus on 2 to 3 sets of 3 to 5 reps, then a volume-centric day, focus on 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps, which is something I actually would recommend all of you guys to start doing and implement right off the bat. Now, using the approach that I mentioned in the beginning parts of this video, that 3 to 5 set by 5 rep scheme, you want to focus that for your strength-based sessions. So you're doing that once a week. And then on the same week, right, you're doing a volume-centric session where you're doing 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps. So the thing that you'll do on your volume-based day is that you'll simply just increase the loads as soon as you're able to, accomplish 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps at the bare minimum. So if you're not meeting that 8 rep minimum requirement, then you shouldn't be increasing the loads. Now, why would I recommend someone to start doing the conjugate system right off the bat? And it's pretty simple. You're getting the best of both worlds. You're being able to train for strength by using that strength-based day, 3 sets of 5 reps or 3 to 5 sets of 5 reps. And then you're also focusing on doing a volume-centric approach, which is going to help build muscle, aka hypertrophy. So you're doing 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps. Now, this knocks out both realms of training, whether you're trying to focus on strength or building muscle, which I can attest that a lot of people want to do both. So this is really the best blend of both, while you're still managing your intensities, of course. Don't forget that, right? You're not going to be neglecting how to manage your intensities, because that is a big part of improving one's strength adaptations and being able to recover properly. Now, in my opinion, this approach is honestly the best weighted calisthenics program, where you're doing both strength and hypertrophy. But I do want to highlight that this is specific for beginner intermediate lifters, meaning you're utilizing a straight set method. So what I do is more so catered to like advanced or elite based strength programming, where I'm not doing straight set methods. I'm actually doing the top and back offset methods. Like I said, I won't go too deep into that. So I want to make sure that y'all understand that this video isn't really going to be catered for advanced or elite based lifters, because if it was, then y'all probably wouldn't need this information. But I think it's important to note that, there's a time and place for when you use a program, and there's a time and place when you need to transition out of the program. So overall, I would say that the original creator's video was pretty good. I wouldn't say the information was incorrect. There was just a lot of holes that need to be filled, which I hope I was able to touch on, such as the part where you need to manage the intensities, the part that this is best suited for beginners and intermediate based lifters at best, by utilizing the straight set method. So yeah, a lot of good points were made, and this is one of the reasons why I think it's important for me to break down these videos, because no matter what program you might utilize, any program can steer you into the wrong direction if you don't know how to utilize it properly. But hey, what do I know? If you want to see more content like this, be sure to follow me, man. I'm Tough Fitness Scout here, no cap.
Cobra Trains, he's up next. Make sure y'all subscribe to him. He's number one out here.
He's the toughest fitness guy out here.